Okay, we got a recording notification, so I think it works.
Hey, thank heaven for small mercies. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. It's great to have you here on another episode of the Jina AI Office Hour. Man, we make office hours sound so exciting. But hey, you're all here. You make the magic happen, people. So it's good to see a lot of, I want to say, new faces, but a lot of new names. Can you all mute your mics, please? Okay. I'm going to mute y'all's. There you go. Anyone causes trouble, I'm going to mute y'all and not let you unmute. You've been warned. All right. So yeah, today we have Joan, one of our senior engineers, joining us. He's going to talk about some of the cool new stuff coming up in Jina Core. And after that, we'll take questions from everyone about the technology behind Jina, your use cases, you name it, what kind of beer we like to drink at Jina, whether you, questions about working at Jina, all this kind of jazz. So, do we have any other events coming up, Joe, that we need to announce?
We do need to announce about our reward system, and there are some events which are happening. Do you want to do that, or should I do that?
Oh, I'll let you take the lead. I'm humble and modest, and I don't really like to talk much. You know me.
Awesome. So, by the way, hello everyone. I'm Jyoti Vish, and right now I want to announce about the community reward program that we have. So a lot of people have loved our swags, and we're grateful for that. Thank you for supporting us throughout the whole last year. We produced a lot of swag, we shipped a lot of swag, we got a lot of love for that. But now we have our own swag store where you can go and get swags for yourself in exchange of for credits. Okay, and how you get credits is all mentioned in this blog. It's basically being more active in our community, becoming a community member who's very involved, and yeah, this is how you can get it. And there are some events coming up, which is of course a tech job fair, where if you are located in Berlin and you want to know more about the jobs at Jina AI, so you can go check this out. We will be having a job fair, and we will also be there at Web Summit. I don't know how many of you are joining that in Portugal, but you will be able to meet our team in Web Summit happening in early November. So if you're there, come and say hi to us, and we would love to, have a chat about MLOps, about neural search with you all. And last but not the least, next month on November 24th, we are hosting Pi Berlin at our office in Berlin. If you are located in Berlin, just come and say hi and meet us. So that's all right now. And going back to you, Alex.
All right. Thank you, Joe. And well, I guess I'll just hand it over directly to Joanne. Take it away, buddy.
Thank you. So let me share my screen to show the presentation. So hello, everybody. So I'm here to close my door so that I don't disturb anyone. So I'm here to present what is new in Jina Core project. I will focus on what has been happening in Jina around the last month, more or less. Give a sneak peek of a feature that we are working on that we would like to have some feedback on. And then my colleague Girish, he's going to present, have a demo of the biggest highlight of the last month, that is the addition of OpenTelemetry to the core. So I'm going to structure this presentation as, at the first, I'm going to look at a different set of features and explain them a little bit. What are they used for? Why would you like them? Then I'm going to present this OpenTelemetry feature that later Girish will present. I'm going to present a big feature that we are aiming to release soon, so that we can talk about, discuss, explain why we are planning this, and if you want just to provide feedback about it. And at the end, Girish is going to present a live demo of this observability tool. So what's new? So one of the features that we added recently is the capacity to have different replicas of an executor in different machines. So it works locally. It means that you are, as a user, responsible to start an executor in a different machine. But the thing is that when you start a flow locally, you can add a list of hosts and ports to the executor, and when used as external, the flow will load balance the request between the replicas. But you couldn't see my screen until now. Okay.
We see it.
Okay, perfect. Then another feature that we release is the dump of a stateful set when volumes are passed to executors. So normally in Jina, executors tend to be kind of mostly are stateless services that map directly to deployments in Kubernetes. But when you pass the volumes, you kind of give a signal to Jina that you want to persist some state, or that you want to have these volumes. You may want to persist something data on these volumes. So whenever we get these volumes passed to the flow, we detect this, and when we run the to Kubernetes YAML API, instead of mapping the executor to a deployment with its replica set, we map it to a stateful set, so that you can reliably handle the volume mounts there. Then also a feature that is helpful when running Jina on Kubernetes is this exit on exceptions parameter argument that you can pass to the executor, that it gives a list of exceptions, which if the executor raises them, the runtime, like the service, will die, and then the Kubernetes will have the chance to restart the service. Normally, exceptions are treated as regular behavior in Jina. So if your executor has an exception, they will show at the client side in the request, in the response, like saying this executor had this exception. But some exceptions, so for instance, GPU out of memory or something, it's good that to responding to these exceptions by shutting down the server, and so give the opportunity for Kubernetes to reschedule the pod somewhere else. Then in the same philosophy of being more robust, in our client, we had a problem that sometimes your server has temporary issues that they can come and go. So in order to be more robust against these transient errors, we have added this ability to have retry mechanism in the client. So when you do client post, you can give parameters of how many attempts you want to try before considering that a request failed, some backoff policy, and so on. Then another feature that we enabled that is also very useful in Kubernetes, but in general, is that we have added and we have powered this ping CLI call with the ability to check the readiness of Jina. It can check the readiness of a flow, like making sure that the flow is ready to receive requests, checking the connectivity of all the executors in the flow by doing this Jina ping flow. You can ping a single executor to make sure that this executor is ready to serve by doing Jina ping executor, or you can ping individually the Jina with using Jina ping gateway. The difference between Jina ping gateway and Jina ping flow is that when you use Jina ping gateway, you are just making sure that the gateway service is alive, regardless of whether the executors are reachable or not. But when you do Jina ping flow, you make sure and the gateway will ping automatically all the executors, so that whenever you have a positive response from the Jina ping flow, you can be more sure that you can start sending requests to the flow, so to speak. And this is very useful to be used as readiness prop when you use Jina in Kubernetes. And in fact, this is the default readiness prop that we use when we dump our flows to Kubernetes YAMLs. Then the biggest highlight of the latest features that we released and that will be presented and demoed by Girish later is this enabling tracing and metrics with OpenTelemetry. So what we have done is we have enabled a feature that lets you collect traces of your requests and metrics of your requests through external services by using OpenTelemetry. I will not go in more details because Girish will show a live demo of how this works, and I hope that you all like it. So then I would like to present what's coming. So we have in mind to release soon, as soon as we can, a feature that we are calling custom gateway, although the name might change. But let's see as the problems that led us to think about this feature. So we have seen many people in the community. Maybe some of you have already feel that is also your case, that implement their own API, like a fast API, and inside their fast API, they use our Jina client. There is no problem there, but it is kind of an extra hop that it is not actually needed. So you could, in theory, you should be able to connect directly to the executors without needing this extra hop from your API to the gateway API of ours. So for us, as a team, it is a signal that what the community wants is to speak for their APIs to speak their own language, not necessarily to speak Jina language or documentary languages. And that's something that we have taken into consideration, and we plan to have a way to let you build the API while keeping all the power of Jina. So let's recap. I don't know if many of you have seen this, but there is an image that we have in our documentation that explains more or less how a flow works. So we have the client that connects to the gateway, and the gateway makes sure that all the requests arrive to the executors in the right order. So we see that the gateway has kind of two concerns. It serves as an API, so it defines what API it talks to, so that the client has to talk that language, so to speak. And at the same time, make sure to send in the right order and in a streaming way all the requests to the executors following the graph that is defined by the flow. So making sure that the request goes first to deployment to the executor one, then goes to the executor two. So the question is, can we let the user define their own API, but still make sure that they can send requests in order to the different executors? We believe that what we can do is give this custom gateway. So the same way you are defining executors and defining how your services handle document arrays and then are put into a flow, why can we do something similar and let you define some gateway class that defines their API and put it in the flow? This gateway class, the only thing that needs to make sure is to use an object that we will call the streamer. That is the one that, through an API that we would define and that we would try to make it as easy as possible, would make sure that calling an easy API will send the documents to the right executor, so it would feel like the client. And Jina will make sure that this streamer is initialized behind the scene so that the complexity is hidden by the user. This is what we are aiming for. So just to imagine how it would look like, in Python interface, we are imagining something like this. Config gateway, it uses my custom gateway, for instance, with the port and some users values. Or in Flow YAML, you could see as an extra field gateway with a name and another configuration and so on. And to see how this gateway could be seen, maybe I think that it would be interesting to look at the dummy implementation that we have in our tests. So here we see the purpose of this. So we are aiming to have you build the models So we want you to be able to speak with your API in your own business logic, and defining through a gateway that it would be kind of something that you import from Jina, the same way you do from Executor, to implementing some API that we define, some really easy API. You could define, for instance, your fast API that process, for instance, that opens a stream or whatever, and using this streamer object can stream document arrays that you create from your own model. So this is still work in progress, and I would like to know as much as possible if you feel that this is something that you have felt the pain, if you want to know more about it, if you would like to give ideas of how to implement or how the user experience should look like, it would be really helpful for us. And then I will hand over to Girish to have the demo of the OpenTelemetry feature. Thank you very much.
Yes, so maybe any questions?
Yeah, if there is, I was thinking that to host some Q&A after the demo, but if somebody has a question, we can answer them so far.
Yep, we can do this either way.
I don't know. If it's I see that Rajiv has some question regarding fine-tuning. I would say that if it's outside of the scope of the presentation, I would let it for after the demo. So yeah, Girish, I think yes, I would let you the stage for you.
Okay, then I have sharing, so let me quickly share. Yes. Yes. So basically, I want to talk about a new instrumentation module or features that we have added to Jina. So basically, instrumentation also means like observability, and how do you instrument your the flow or all the executors in the flow that you have created. So it is enabled by the OpenTelemetry set of libraries. So this is the new cloud native maintained as part of the cloud native foundation, where they combine all your monitoring and tracing and then logs. So metrics you might have already been familiar because of Prometheus and Grafana. So like you are maybe measuring how long your request took or how many requests that you processed, so on and so forth. So it was basically aggregating on a service level, and it was like kind of giving you some overview of how each of your service was doing independently. Then I think in the recent years, there was introduction of tracing, or where, to have a more fine-grained observability into what is happening in a request lifecycle, right? So from the moment that the client makes a request and then till the end when they receive back the response, so what is going on in here, and what is the path that it took to produce the response for this request. So that's why it's called tracing and other things. Yeah, so we have updated our documentation for the current release, or maybe here. Yeah, so a lot of things on how to set up OpenTelemetry, so tracing metrics and using Prometheus Grafana, and I will also introduce a new tool called Jaeger for tracing, and how you can visualize your requests with tracing. Now, basically, briefly, I have already have a small application or flow that I ran on my local machine. So without going into too much detail, so it's like recommendations engine based on Redis. So basically, you have like mainly two operations. So first is to index data from a list of products. So I will show you where the source, what the data set is. So basically we have like an index operation, we load the data and then I batch it. And then we also use our clip service for getting the embedding. And then we put it into Redis. And for recommendations, we use the Redis inbuilt search features, like especially for the embedded search or vector search features to kind of, generate a recommendation based on your previous 5 product views, basically. So the flow looks like this. So basically for introduction, the data set is the Amazon Berkeley objects data set. So I think it has around 5,800 products from the Amazon web store that's available. And then for the flow, basically I have like the 2 indexer and the recommender executors. And then to enable on the flow, the tracing, we have like a new arguments or options. So to indicate what is, whether you want to enable tracing or metrics, you can enable them independently or either one of them. Then basically you need to specify where do you want to export the data to. So for now we have set up in such a way that it's your application can self-identify and export the data, unlike Prometheus, where Prometheus was responsible for pulling the data. So those are the new features or changes. So I will quickly switch back and show. So the metrics is right now backwards compatible. So you can still more or less use the same Grafana dashboard from before, and you can visualize the operations in your flow. So basically, I'm not sure if in our documentation we are also produced an example dashboard, the Grafana dashboard JSON that you could download and just import it into your Grafana and then start working. So basically it's a short-lived flow. So you will see some numbers, like very small numbers. So basically what we have is the same as before. So this is completely backward compatible, more or less. You might need to change the query, which we have already updated in the documentation. So you don't have to, you can reference that. So basically on the first 2 panels or the first row that you see is from the gateway. So right now here it's showing like 0 seconds because it's short-lived, and because of the 5-minute window aggregation, you will not see because it's very fast. But you will see, although total number of requests was 9, maybe let me update, because there were a bunch of indexing requests and then maybe 2 recommendation requests coming up here. That's what you can see here. So if I collapse everything by default, I think you will see here. So we have templated based on the gateway and the executors. So you can view what is happening based on the stuff here. So basically at the indexer level, you can see I have indexed like around 900 products. The number of endpoint requests was 10 because I had patched them, and then 1 recommendations requests to this one, but actually it should be here. More or less. So, and this is available, and let's see. So now we can talk about Jaeger, which will be our new open or one of the open source tracing visualization tools. Let's see if I can quickly switch back. Yes. So this is the Jaeger UI for visualizing trace. So basically, like a trace is basically what is happening within your request and response cycle, and then whatever all the operations that were happening within that response. So you can add your own custom, trace your own custom operations, which I'll also show from the example. And then by Jina, by default, we also provide some default tracing of your operations. So for example, on the left-hand side, you will see like the services, what are there. So the client itself also has to like usually can produce like the trigger or the starting operation. And then that gets propagated all the way throughout the request and the response lifecycle. So if I choose the gRPC client, so that's what I'm using inside the flow. And if I define traces, so you'll see like a bunch of requests here. And then also on the top, you can see the timeline of all the requests when they happened. And then also I added some errors purposely to demonstrate how the errors would look like. So for example, there's an error here, and there's an error here. And so these are specific instances or specific requests that failed. So you can also see here, so the recommendation requests failed, and then we can see more details. So what happens? So maybe I'll first start with one of the indexing requests. So it says 8 spans. So span in tracing terms is like the smallest unit of operation that you can do, or you can measure, or you can observe. So maybe look at this. So this is how a trace can be visualized like. So you have at the top level, your gRPC client that initiated the request, and then all the other services that were responsible to produce the request, the response. So within a flow, if you're already familiar, there's the gateway that is handling the requests, and then it finally goes into the endpoint, where I implement my executor requests method. And I have added some custom, maybe if you can expand this a little bit, yeah. So yeah, at the indexer level, this is my endpoint /index. You can see at the top here. So this has some tags. So this is where using the tags, you can add additional data, custom data, like I'll show you in the example here. So this is my main, the method there. I didn't add much there, but I have also added more finer grained details here. So like, for example, like there's the encoding part with clip. So I've added additionally which clip server that I'm calling. And so this is like custom attribute that I can add at that point within the method and within that when the request actually ran. So it would have changed dynamically, it could have redeployed the service, or if clip could have been changed, or you could have provided a different clip, and then you will know what happened there. For example, in index Redis, also similar thing you can do. So I'm adding a different custom attribute, like what was the number of documents that I indexed into Redis. And yeah. So by default, you will see some data like internal.span.format, span.kind. So these are a lot of things you can read from OpenTelemetry. So these are like standards defined by OpenTelemetry, so that you can generate this kind of visualizations and monitoring and then tracing and filtering. So this was like a successful request. So everything looks normal, but yeah, so I think if you zoom out here, you can see, I mean, everything is fast. So it's like you can see some differences here. Plus, you will also automatically get the duration of that operation within a trace. So it's like, yeah, so it's not aggregated, so you get the specific request level information of how long this took. And yeah, don't worry, yeah, so this one, some automatic library level instrumentation will add a lot of details because they are required by the OpenTelemetry API. Let's see, yeah. So yeah, so this will give a lot of information. So what you can do is you can later filter by each specific like client or server type. So you can go into a lot of, drill down into a lot of things and then monitor, kind of generate this kind of graph based on your custom trace. So I added some errors, so maybe let's take a look at that. So for the indexing, there's an error here. So you can see, so there's this one is maybe not. There's a lot of spans there. So I mean, so there's a lot of spans because when the flow starts for the first time, you will see like a lot of communication within the flow itself. So those kind of show up only the first time, but you don't have to worry too much about it. Maybe I'll try to. Yeah, maybe let's focus just only on the error. You can also look at the error here by looking at the errors, or you can also just click here and you will directly go into the request that had an error. And so, for example, this was an error on the recommender executor or on the recommendations endpoint. And you'll see this. Yeah, so the overall request still succeeded, but the problem is there were still some issues within your operations itself. So maybe you return some default value or something, and then you could captured some logs in there and some exceptions, but you still return some kind of a default value or something like this. So you will get this errors equals true, which is mostly automatic because in Python or most libraries you can have a context library, and then the errors and everything will be encapsulated and captured, and you will have some things like logs, so you can capture the exception that happened here. So for example, yeah, some unsupported type something error, and then you can either choose to again raise this error back so that the request actually fails, or in this case it was not propagated, it was swallowed. So you will not see an error on the request, on the original request level, but on the individual spans you will see of where the error was captured. Yeah, so this is useful because then you can say create a filter on my tags equals true, and then my, let's say, what was this? Yeah, my service is the recommender system or executor, and then you can visualize this graph like this. So this is based on what UI you are using. So it doesn't matter because of OpenTelemetry, it's a standard, and everybody who is implementing the tools for the backend or the UI has to follow this API. So more or less, and the features will vary depending on which tool you're using. Yeah, another with tracing also, as I said before, you can view like this previous Grafana type metrics. So what is going on at your service level? So for example, this is at the recommender service level. View what is the latency, error rate, and your request RPS per second. So these are graphs that are by default generated by Jaeger. So it's your tracing data can also be exported into a time series database, and then you can run queries like this. Yeah, so you can see all the different operations that are going on, how long they took. If they had any errors, they would show up here. Yeah, the error which I showed before was followed internally, so that's why it will not show up at the top level here. Yeah, so we can also take a look at the indexer. So you can see, yeah, you can monitor the RPS or more level details like what happened, the latency, RPS error rate, and you can also do more filtering on these types of get into more traces and see, okay, were there any issues on particular request, and what kind of information does each service provide, so that I can quickly debug the issue or identify the root cause, basically. And I think this is just like a feature of Jaeger. So you can see what my, see if I can minimize this without screwing up. Yeah. So you can actually see my service architecture diagram. So This is my client that is initiating the request, which goes to the gateway, and then the gateway, connects to the indexer and the recommender systems. Yeah, I mean, these are all mostly like nice to have features, but yeah, mostly it should be like you should have the monitoring and then your search features, so you can do a lot of filtering here. So as I said, error equals true, and then I can maybe just filter on my errors over here. Yeah, maybe here. Maybe I'm not using the syntax properly here, but yeah. Go back. So yeah, any questions so far?
We have quite a few questions in the chat, so I can read some of them out.
Yeah.
That way they'll get onto recording as well. Oh, lots of lovely questions. Thank you, everybody. Let me bring some up. So some of these, I'll read out the ones about the monitoring first. Okay, I don't see ones about the monitoring first. But who is asking this? Rohit. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, Rohit. Can I use Docker A with query search in order to sort data? So that could go to any of the team who want to answer.
I am not understanding the question exactly.
Okay, Rohit, can you rephrase your question in the chat, please? Rajiv, again, apologies if I'm butchering your name, has a question regarding fine-tuner. Yeah, Zoom is being Zoom and acting up. Give me a sec. May I use mice? Do you mean voice?
I think he meant mic.
Oh, mic, right. That would make more sense than voice. Yes, go ahead, Rajiv.
Yeah, first of all, good morning or good evening. Okay, so my question was regarding the fine tuner. So whenever I use the fine tuner, mostly it is not available because they already give the error that the GPU is already in use. So my question is that, is there any way to use fine tuner other than JCloud?
So currently, Rajiv, there is no other way, but we are planning to offer a service that where you could deploy it in your own cloud. But this currently we have only our hosting solution, our hosted solution.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. We had a question. Yes, that's already been answered. Peter had a question about JCloud, and it was, will this custom API system work on JCloud? Yes, it will. Yes, we plan to support JCloud as well, said Joanne in the chat. Do we have other questions?
If
Any more for
not,
any more? Go for it.
did we have like, are we done with the demo? Or is there anything left?
No, we are done with the presentation. The demo.
Awesome. We can do the raffle after this if nobody has any more questions.
Yeah, well, I would like to answer Peter that I answered in the Slack about whether this custom API would work on JCloud. So yeah, the idea is to have a system that is integrated in the whole ecosystem. So we aim to give similar experience on working locally into the cloud, and this will remain our goal.
All right. Good stuff. Oh, wow. Now the chat's exploding. Rohit is using document array to find matching data in an Excel sheet. It gives results based upon the first in the first order. So I guess it's just returning the first row of the sheet. Can I add query search to document array such that it gives more accurate data? So I guess it's using the from CSV method to generate the document array. We've got a couple of the Docker team here with us on the chat. Johannes and Sammy was here at one point. I don't know if he's still here. Yep. So if either of you chaps want to answer.
So I am sorry, but so you are finding the matching data in an Excel sheet, but I don't understand this. But it gives results based upon first order. I don't understand the problem here.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Rohit. The issue I'm getting with the raw array is I'm uploading the Excel sheet, but the fields, I mean the data which I'm searching are present more than 20. Let's say there are more than 20 results present in that Excel sheet. I'm only getting the first 5 results based upon the accuracy purpose, but I want the middle one. So can I add more search queries in a document array so that I can get the middle search result?
It's kind of a bad connection, Rohit.
Yeah,
Could
I
you
would suggest,
post it to our Slack in the support channel?
no, and even better to open an issue on our Docker repo.
Yeah, sure.
There we are I think we can take some pride on our reactiveness there.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Any more? All right, let's get our raffle on.
Awesome. So how many people do we have? Do we have 47? All right. So I think there are people from our team also, 7 of them. So everybody, I would should I do it or should I assign a random number, or can you do that?
Good question. Do you have like a 40-sided dice on you?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh,
But,
you're not enough of a geek, Joe.
Yeah, I would choose a random number.
I guess there's a random number generator on the net somewhere.
There is, yeah, but we have to associate the number with something, right?
We can do it alphabetically.
Yep, I think so. That's the correct thing to do. Okay, so I have a random number generator, which will choose a random number from 1 to 40. And I would have to do some counting, but it's okay. We can always do that. So we will be announcing 2 winners over here. And thank you everyone for joining in, whoever have joined. And thank you for asking questions. So also drop by in our Slack and introduce yourself, because in this meet, of course, we did not have a chance to meet each one of you or introduce each one of you, but we would love to know more about you in our Slack community. The Slack link I already shared, but I will it doesn't hurt to share it again. So let me just try to run. Should I share my screen or should I do it randomly?
Oh, I think you have to share your screen. Otherwise people could accuse us of all kinds of nepotism, just like last time when I won.
You participated? Why did you participate?
Last time we saw like 42 people. So we thought, oh, we'll choose any number from 1 to 42. And everyone chose a number and I got even more swag. I'm going to run out of room in my apartment at this rate.
Okay, so what we'll do is if it alphabetically lands on a member of Jina, we will just run it again. All right. We're not doing nepotism over here.
Just skip them when we can.
Yeah, we won't make rich more richer. Let's do this. It's 7. So who's 7 actually? It's
Oh,
1,
now we
3,
don't
4,
know who's what.
6, 7. Oh, it's Anushka. No, we are doing it randomly, right? We are doing it from the start, like this.
What? It's like we chose the number randomly and we'll just pick the person with the 7th name in the list.
Yes.
It's not the Jina person.
Yes. So Anushka is the name of the person who is at 7th right now.
There are 2 Anushkas.
Okay, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Anushka
5,
Mishra,
6,
right?
7. It's Anushka Mishra, yeah.
Hey, congratulations, Anushka. And again, sorry, I'm just going to make a t-shirt saying, sorry, I butcher your name. It'll be so much quicker.
Awesome. Let's run it again. And it's 22. Okay, I will have to do some mere counting. It will be like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15, 16. Are we counting Jina members in this?
No,
Are
we're
you
skipping
counting? No,
them.
right?
And hey,
1,
don't change your names in the Zoom,
4,
okay?
5, 6,
So
7,
you bump yourself up
8,
to 22.
9,
That's
10,
not cool.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It's Pratik.
Hey, good job, Pratik.
Hey, thank you.
You worked so hard for this, buddy.
And since we have, so I think this is a lot of audience. So we can actually do it once more. Do you want to extend it to 3?
Oh, bonus round. Let's do it. 3rd time's the charm.
Okay, let's try it. It's 39, so it's no
Don't
brainer.
ever say we don't love you enough, people.
44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39. It's a Shakti Chaturvedi.
Yay.
Awesome. Peter is like fingers crossed. Awesome. So all of you, can you just go to our Slack and in this hashtag swag channel, can you just write that you won the raffle today so that I can reach out to you? Because of course your Slack usernames, I'm not aware of them. I need to know. And yeah, if you would just go to our Slack and in the swag channel, just enter. And if there are other people who want swag, we should still have a lot of things that you can do, which are all mentioned in this blog.
I'm just envisioning some of our more evil members. They've memorized the names of the raffle winners. They're going to Slack now. They're changing their usernames. I hope I'm not giving any of you people evil ideas.
Yeah, I could become Shakti for a day.
It's like we're going to see a sudden boom in Shaktis. Cool. All right. Thank you so much for showing up, everyone. When's our next event, Joe? The next online one.
We have Engineering All Hands coming up pretty soon. And we mention everything on our Meetup page. So if you have not registered, if you have not joined our Meetup page, please join it so that you remain updated. Or if you are in Slack, that works too.
Yep. Join us here at the next event for another chance to win swag, I guess.
Yep.
Cool. What swag are we sending out, Joe? What can the lucky punters win?
We have the very favorite Gen Z favorite tote bag. So Gen Z loves tote bag. I don't know about others.
I didn't know.
But we also have a key.
I'm Gen Z, Joe. I'm Generation Zimmer frame.
Oh yeah, trust me, I don't want to be Gen Z. So there's a tote bag. There's also a postcard which has a very cute thank you message for you all, and also a keyring which is Jina customized keyring. So that's in a swag pack.
Yep. So yeah, come next time, win cool stuff.
Awesome.
Okay, and again, if you have any questions or you want to talk to us, head by our Slack. Right, that's a wrap, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.